All right, so thank you guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We are very excited to have you here. Um, and so as I mentioned before, please make sure that you log into the Slido here. We will leave that up and we will bring that up again as we go through the presentation. Also, please feel free to add any questions that you have throughout the course of our presentation today as well, and we will get to those during the AMA session. We also, for those of you that are able to stick with us to the end of today, we will have a lovely quiz for you. So please be sure to sign up. If you are a partner or community leader, you are welcome to join in on the game in the AMA, but please add a lovely DQ at the end of your name so that we can tell you apart. And I will tell you right now, Brendan has a wonderful quiz for us today. All right. So welcome to our All Canadian April Intelligence event. As you guys as some of you that have came to our events before are well aware, we'd love to put a spin on, and Canadian spin specifically, on our events. So our event this time around is all about AI and Atlassian artificial intelligence. As always, we want to give a huge shout out to all of the Canadian chapters that have taken part in organizing this event. Not all of your leaders are here today. However, the leaders that are here today are the ones of us here with these lovely modified Star Trek backgrounds. So we have Denis, Ariel, Brandon, and Jimmy and myself that are on the call and able to make it. We also have, as you can see here, our Canadian chapters have grown. We now have a new chapter in our family, which is in the Ottawa chapter. So a big congratulations and welcome for Danielle and all of our peers over in Ottawa. I hope you guys are having wonderful weather and almost ready for your Tulip Festival. We also have, as I mentioned, we also have some new leaders into our family as well. So again, welcome, and we're very happy to have everybody here. So you can reach out to us directly if you have any problems during the course of the event, or as always, you can reach out to, these are the people you can reach out to if you've got anything Atlassian community related that you want to ask about. We also want to give a big thank you to our sponsors for this event from Adaptivist and SelectStar. Without them, some of this wouldn't have been possible, but we also want to thank Atlassian as always for sponsoring these events. So, and before we get into the meat of our presentation, as you are all aware, we have Team 24 coming up at the end of April at the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas. For this section here, I'm going to hand this off to Jimmy to discuss with us and talk through what we can expect from Team 24 this year.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, if you have not been to a team event before, I highly recommend making an in-person appearance at least once. It's a very different event. It's one of those where I would say that you're going to have a completely different experience coming to the event as opposed to just joining virtually. One of the things that you want to be there for is the keynotes. There's always new information dropped right then and there that you'll want to be there live for it. As soon as it's announced, there's always plenty of Atlassians at the expo hall that are willing to answer questions about them. These are just sort of the time frames as far as when they're happening. So it's one of those things where it's worth taking note of. The expo hall floor, I will admit my first team event there, I was not a community leader. I had not been in the ecosystem at all, and I was scared to go and talk to a lot of people because I was under the impression, or I should say, the false impression that you might be making a commitment to things when really a lot of this is more information gathering. So go and talk to everyone you can. A lot of the marketplace vendors have great information for you. Not all of them are trying to sell you on their stuff. Some of them are there to help you try and solution some of the challenges you're having, whether it's something that they can solve with their applications or they just have knowledge about the Atlassian products. Everyone has swag, so you'll want to make sure that you pack, or I should say, save plenty of room in your suitcase for that. And then it's not just the partners that are there, but Atlassian has experts for every single one of their products. So if you have things that you want to chat with them directly about, they're there. You can also find many of us, the community leaders, over in the community area. Community and university are sort of coupled at the hip right now as far as being on the expo hall floor. So if you want somewhere that's laid back, easy to sort of relax and meet some new people and, possibly have a sort of a buddy to walk around with, the community lounge is probably the best place to, find someone social to work with.
Yep.
Next one. So talks. I will give my own spin on this. I will say originally Susan was going to be presenting this, but unfortunately she couldn't make it. So yes, I will be presenting on an Atlassian creator panel. That will be happening on the Thursday morning. I would say that what you'll want to look at is the things that are going to be only at the in-person event if you're attending live. I would say anything that's going to be digital, watch it after the fact. You want to spend as much time on the things that are only in person as possible. You may have a few things that you are interested in. Absolutely go and check them out. I think Rachel Wright said it best at the first event I was at with you don't owe the presenter staying there if you don't feel that it's not the right fit for you. You might have gone there because the tagline piqued your interest, but if it's one of those things where you start listening to it and it's not really what you were looking for, don't stick around. Catch it after the fact. Go and make the best use of your time there for you. You're the one who's attending. So it's one of those things where you want to do everything that's right for you. If that means going to all the talks, go to all the talks. If that means not going to any of the talks and just networking with people to sort of broaden your understanding, hey, that's the great way to do it too.
I will say I've done that 1 year at one of these teams. I spent the whole time just networking on the expo floor because that's how it goes some years.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to add into is they do have multiple tracks. So if you're more focused on AI or infrastructure, or if you're focused on the DevOps or ITSM, they do have on the agenda page and the schedule page, it tagged by different streams to help you filter the information more. And they also have a project management stream as well for the PMs out there.
That's actually a good point, Heather, because they also have it on beginner, intermediate, or advanced users, as well as sort of what sort of area of the company you are, whether you are someone who makes purchasing decisions or not. So make use of those filters to try and sort of find the sessions that are right for you if that's what you're looking for.
Yep.
Yes, there are parties. There is a bash at the end. This year's theme is neon. That's assuming that you care about showing up to the party and the theme. The other thing that's worth noting is that there are multiple partners who are doing parties. Adaptivist is pretty well known for their poolside party. You can go to their website to sign up for that. There are a number of other parties that are happening, not even just within the time frame of the Tuesday evening through to Thursday night, but there are some things that are happening earlier than that. I know the partner info session happens on the Monday, which it's really kind of a showcase for the partners to show off to one another the cool things that we're working on. But personally, as a customer, I kind of like sort of going in there and being a fly on the wall to see what the cool things are that are coming down that possibly might be something we're interested in. So I would say definitely go on LinkedIn, reach out to some of the partners you might know, see what they're doing. There's probably someone who's got some event going on that can help you cut the costs on how many meals you pay for.
Yep. Absolutely. And yeah, as Jimmy mentioned, the theme is neon, so I think what was last year's theme? 90s or 2000s?
90s. Yep.
Yeah, it was 90s, yeah. So they'll have at Bash, they usually have some type of activities too that are related to the theme. So I'm curious to see what they're gonna do this year.
And the last thing worth mentioning, I am part of Atlassian's creator program, and they did give me a code to share with everyone. So the superfan discount ended on March 1st. The early bird discount ended March 29th. So right now, you are paying full price for tickets. If you have not purchased your ticket, copy down that code. It will give you the superfan discount. So you'll save $1,000 on the cost of the ticket. It'll be $799 as opposed to having to pay the full $17.99 price. So, and that's good all the way up until the 26th, which is kind of the Friday right before Teams. So, yeah, if you had been holding off on getting a ticket, but you still want to get that best price, please make use of the code. It's got an unlimited number of charges, so go for it.
All right. And then
Actually, sorry, the one last thing I'm going to do. I'm also I run the Welcome Wednesday series in the community, and I'm going to at least just put in the chat for this week's. For the next 4 weeks, I'll be running the survival series for team, which is going to have some more of these sort of tip things. This week was all about sort of surviving the arid environment. I've just put the link into the chat. Go check out the online community, and you can see everything that's coming in, which will have more tips, not just from me, but from the people that are commenting as well.
yep. Sorry. All right. So the other thing I wanted to call out too is also there is certain sessions that will be streamed live. So even if you can't make it in person, there is digital access. So post Team 24, most chapters are also going to be hosting recap events as well. So which the links for those will be found, I believe, Jimmy, in the community. There's a couple community posts that were made for those.
I'll put one in the chat so that people can get to them.
Yes, thank you. All right, and now getting into the meat of why we are all here. We will be handing this over to Jasper for his enhancing enterprise service management efficiency using AI. So I will.
Thank you very much.
You're
Let me
welcome.
start sharing my screen if you don't mind.
There you go. Awesome.
Could you please confirm you can see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, thank you all. I'm Gaspar. I work for Atlassian. I live in Burnaby, British Columbia, and I'm happy to talk with you about enterprise service management with Atlassian Intelligence. So I'm going to try and do this presentation a little bit interactive. I will share a few QR codes so we can collaborate, and I will also open it for a short discussion, maybe once or twice during the presentation. So please stay tuned and have ready your mobile phones to scan the QR codes that I will be showing to you. Okay. So first, some opening thoughts. Generative AI is nothing but another step into business process automation. We'll talk about that in more detail throughout the presentation. And all the AI features are great, but if we don't set them into context, they're just pretty things to have, and they're not pretty useful. So the right place to set this AI features in the enterprise service management world is the relevance that they can have in terms of making people more productive when they run their service management practices. Okay, and with that, I will start defining artificial intelligence. We have been talking about AI a lot. We have been hearing about AI a lot in the last few months, maybe even years. And I want to start with a definition of artificial intelligence. So AI is the ability of a digital computer to perform tasks that are commonly associated with intelligent beings. Okay, so keep that in mind because we will use this concept throughout the presentation. And before, dumping a new bunch of AI features that we have in the Atlassian products, I want us to do an analysis together on how AI has been evolving in the last few years. So the main three steps of AI in terms of its impact in IT service management or in enterprise service management in general are these three stages, okay? Rule-based AI, how AI started working for us based on rules, then the appearance of neural networks or the invention of neural networks, and finally, the step that we are most interested in and we have been hearing a lot in the last few months is generative AI. So I'm going to talk about these three stages and how those stages have been impacting enterprise service management. So first, rule-based AI is the basic if then else, right? How a computer has a rule to make certain decisions on behalf of a person. And the maybe most significant or simple example of this is when you go to pay for your morning coffee. If you don't have enough balance on your credit or your debit card, you won't be able to pay for it, right? That's a simple rule. If the amount of money you're trying to pay is above the money you have in your account, your transaction will be declined, okay? There's a rule behind it, and it's a very basic form of AI. And as basic as rule-based AI is, it has brought very relevant features to ITSM and enterprise service management tools. So for example, with rules, we can calculate the priority of an incident, can't we? Okay, whenever we receive a request or an incident from our users, we can calculate a priority based on urgency and impact. Okay, this is a very traditional way of using rule-based AI to make decisions for us and help us be more productive. There's another one in calculating service level agreements. Okay, we can use rule-based AI to calculate the SLAs and then to measure how are we fulfilling or not these SLAs. Okay. Another one, workflows. We all love workflows on Jira. We have been using them for quite a while, and we know they are a very simple way of AI, yet very powerful. So having the ability to define the next steps for a ticket to be routed to is very useful for us. And what about automation? Automation, I would say, is one of the best things that we have in Jira Service Management. They streamline business process automation, and it's based on rules, okay? So all these things are based on rules, but we don't really consider them as AI, do we? And my question to you guys is why? And I would like to hear from you, say what you think about this. So I have a few options in this QR code. Please scan it. And please, this is a different slide deck than the one Heather shared at the beginning. So make sure to open it on a separate tab so you don't lose the other one you're working on. So please bring your phone, scan the QR code, and there will be a few options available for you there. So why don't we consider these features AI anymore? Because they don't use machine learning, because we have been dealing with them for years, or maybe they're not important, or maybe you guys have different thoughts about it. I would like to hear those thoughts. There's one other there. I would love to hear about a little bit more about that. Could you pop in the chat why do you think other, or maybe unmute for a minute and let us know why do you think there's another reason? They don't provide predictive analytics. Interesting. Okay. So some of the options here are because we have been using them for many years. They don't use machine learning. They don't provide predictive analytics. So different reasons here and there. But if we go back to the first definition of AI, none of these are really related to the definition, right? AI is the ability of a computer to make some decisions on behalf of an intelligent being. So these features are actually AI. We don't really consider them AI anymore because we are used to them, okay? Now we have new developments that we'll talk about in the next few slides, but it's important for us to understand that eventually we won't see generative AI as AI anymore. Once we have another breakthrough AI research and more advanced capabilities, we will think that this is not really AI, okay? So just to set a level there, then we experienced a breakthrough on AI when neural networks become popular. And the big difference between neural networks and rule-based AI is that neural networks don't care about rules. And let me give you an example. What if you would like to build the rules to explain to a computer that this is a dog? How would those rules look like? What would be the rules for, because it's fluffy and has a lot of fur, because it has 2 eyes and a snout, ears and whiskers, 4 legs, a tail. All those things are rules that you may want to put together to explain to a computer that this is a dog. But let's say you have explained all the rules for a computer to understand that this animal is a dog. What will happen to the computer if you send this picture after? Most likely the computer will think this is a dog, right? Then you will have to start thinking of exceptions. So you have a bunch of rules, then you need to start writing a lot of exceptions. So this is not a dog because the whiskers are longer, or it has longer legs, or pointy ears. You need to start working on exceptions to the rule. And once you have coded all those exceptions, what if you post this picture? Maybe the computer will think it's a dog or a cat, or it won't know, okay? So neural networks are very useful in these kind of scenarios where rules are so complex that having rules and exception is not a good solution, is not feasible to solve this problem. So neural networks work more like a child's brain, okay? When we have a kid, we don't tell the kid the rules of why this animal is a dog and why this animal is a cat. We just expose the kid to different examples of dogs and cats, and the kid is able to determine the difference by understanding the similarities and differences among the animals they are looking at. Okay? So a neural network is an algorithm that allows computer to recognize patterns to solve common problems. So recognizing patterns within information is what make neural networks powerful and help us solve certain type of problems, okay? And a neural network looks like this. So it has an input layer that we use either to train the neural network or to ask questions to the neural network. Then a hidden layer that we will never see, but it's where the magic happens, where the statistical algorithms analyze the patterns in the information and give us an answer. And that answer is provided in an output layer that it's usually expressed in a percentage, that it's a percentage of confidence. So a neural network can tell us, hey, this is a dog or this is not a dog, okay? Keep in mind this percentage of confidence because we'll talk about it when we talk about the ITSM features based on neural networks, okay? So we have many applications of neural networks out there. So for example, for image recognition, you can take a picture of anything and with Google can tell you, hey, what does the computer can see in that picture? Okay, there's a house, there's a tree, there's a dog, there's a cat. So what we have been doing, or people has been doing, is training an algorithm and exposing it to many examples of different dogs, cats, houses, and trees. And now the algorithm can recognize images. Okay, they can also talk to us in natural language because we have been exposing neural networks to different books and recordings of conversations and movies and whatnot. So now they can understand patterns within language, and you can have a conversation with an AI engine. Okay. In Jira Service Management, we have a intent flow now. Okay, so when you configure your support engine in Slack, you can now have a virtual agent that can understand intents with certain confidence. And this is a neural network behind that you have to expose to pictures of dogs. You have to expose the neural network to examples on how a user usually requests a password reset, or how a user usually requests a new laptop. Okay, you don't have to code the specific words. It's not based on rules anymore. It's based on intents, and it has a confidence level. So the more examples you expose the algorithm to, the better it will be at identifying what is behind the request and route it to the right place. Okay, so we can configure different intents, and if we expose it to different examples, more likely we'll have a high confidence and the request will be routed through the right path. Okay, and we will end up with something like this. In Slack, you can have a user requesting for a bike locker. The virtual agent can type, okay, I have missing information, but it has detected the intent based on previous examples. So it doesn't matter the wording the new user will use, even though it's a dog the system has never seen before, they will be able to identify this new dog just by writing some keywords or phrases that are similar to previous ones. Okay, and if the virtual agent detects that there's some information missing, it can ask for that information, the user can answer, and then it can solve the request for the user. Okay, and now let's talk a little bit about generative AI. It's the next step in AI. And sorry, I just stopped sharing my screen because I want to enable audio here. And I don't know how to do that. Share sound. Okay, now I know how to do it. Okay, so generative AI is a set of algorithms that allow machines to generate content that seems original, but it's always based on patterns in data sets. Okay, so what we're going to see is what are the generative AI features that Atlassian has incorporated in our products, but it's important to have in mind that generative AI works based in information that we have in existing data sets. Okay, so let me play this 1-minute video on some of these AI features, and then we will discuss them. Okay, so we already mentioned that many you can automate many answers of a virtual agent using an intent-based agent. But you can also complement your virtual agent with a generative engine. So if you want to do that, the only thing you have to do is to come here to your virtual agent settings and turn on Atlassian Intelligence Answers. Okay, by turning this on, you will be able to have a virtual agent that it's generative. So it complements the intents that you have pre-configured with the information that it's on your knowledge base. So this virtual agent will be able to answer questions even though you have not configured intents in your intent flow before. Okay, so an example here, this person needs to connect to the network, but it keeps dropping. So are there any no issues at this time? And then the AI engine is generating a response there, pointing out to Confluence articles without having an intent flow pre-configured. It's the generative AI engine understanding the question, understanding the intent by itself without being pre-configured, and being able to read information within the knowledge base and posting that information and bringing it to the attention of the user. Okay, so the virtual agent options that we have is the intent flows that we previously discussed, this pattern recognition based flows, and we also have AI answers, that it's a generative AI engine. So we can have both in our virtual agents. And how this works is they receive a customer request. If they match an intent with a high confidence level, then they go to the workflow that you have pre-configured for that intent. Otherwise, they will try, or the generative agent will try to answer the question based on the information available in the knowledge base. How cool is that, hey? Other generative AI features that we have incorporated in our products is, for example, if you receive a ticket and that ticket has a very long history, instead of waiting, many minutes reading through the ticket, you can ask AI to summarize the ticket for you. So you can just click on summary and it will bring like a summary of the most important items throughout the ticket, and even tell you which knowledge articles people have already suggested to the user to resolve the issue and if they were successful or not. Okay, so these will save many minutes for people solving tickets. Then we have the assistant to write or craft better answers. So this is an example. Yeah, your new laptop will arrive on Thursday, but we want to make it a bit more empathetic. So just click on that option in Atlassian Intelligence, and you can, have a better answer in just a few seconds without the agents having to spend a lot of time working on it. Okay. We know that documentation in tickets is sometimes a pain. It can be a pain. When you want to understand what happened with a ticket, you go to the ticket and it always only says solved or something like that without a better explanation. So maybe with this, agents can just drop a few words and use the engine to craft better responses. This is a very cool one. You may want to format a table or make the answer prettier or easier to understand for the user. So you can use generative AI for that. So for example, here, you can ask the engine to insert a support matrix with emojis indicating if something is supported or not. And it will build the table for you. And you just need to click on done and it will be inserted to the ticket. Okay. It can also help you summarize KBA knowledge articles or any Confluence pages. So you can go here, click on the summarize page, and it will create a short summary of a very long ticket. Remember, we talked about the intent flow, the intent engine, where you configure your intents to solve common problems. Well, generative AI can scan your data and tell you which dogs and cats it can already identify. So this comes from your data. So it scans the information in your data, and from previous tickets, the AI engine can tell you, hey, I can see that many people request new Slack channels for you. So could you please, or I suggest you to create a intent flow to solve those tickets, or to provide access to the production system. This all comes from an analysis that the generative AI engine do to the data that it's already in the system. It can also suggest new request types. So whenever you're creating a new request type, sometimes it's difficult to start from scratch. I know we have many templates available, but if you want to ask AI or explain to AI, what are you trying to do? Hey, I work in an HR team that, whatever, deals with these kind of support tickets, then the system will suggest a new request type for you, and you can either accept it or not. And yeah, this is one of my favorites. We have seen it already in the video, but stop, throwing JQL or SQL queries, and just go to generative AI, type the query you need in natural language, and have AI building the query for you. This is great. This is not 100%. It most likely will not return a 100% ready query, but it will save you starting from scratch. So now you can start from a pre-constructed query that most likely will have the information you need. You may have to do some minor adjustments to the query. And now, and this is still in beta, but it was announced 2 weeks ago, it's that now you can describe automations to the AI engine, and it will suggest the automation for you. So you kind of describe what's the trigger and what are the actions that you want next, and it will pre-build a automation rule, show it to you, and you can decide to insert it to the system or not, depending on how good it is and how it actually aligns to what you need. Okay. And with that, I want to close with, just trying to analyze which ITSM or enterprise service management practices could be enhanced with these features. So we have talked about summarizing tickets, virtual agents, ability to craft better responses. So which service management practices do you think these features can help us improve? So you need to enter 2 words there. For example, incident management and maybe knowledge management are the ones I can think of. Which service management practices can you think of that can be streamlined with these features? IT support, change management for sure, knowledge KB articles. Maybe incident management is one of the most important ones. Service request management as well. Asset management, that's an interesting one. All right, so the key takeaways, and this is exactly the slide I used to open the presentation with. Remember, generative AI is just another step in business process automation, and yet all these features are great, but in the enterprise service management world, the actual relevance is their impact on service management practices. If we don't use them to improve our productivity on delivering service, yet they're not very useful, right? And I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much. Back to you, Heather.
Yeah, 1 second there, just gotta get my screen share up and going again too, so.
No worries.
All right, so we want to give a big shout out, thank you to you for doing the presentation as well. So thank you very much. That was definitely very informative and has been generating a lot of questions. However, before we get to the questions, we are going to do our lovely photo. This is one of the fun parts of this is we ask everybody to turn on their cameras for a few minutes while our lovely photographer, which is going to take some snapshots. So we'll give everybody a second to make sure their hair is all nice and pretty. And then I will. All right. I'm also working on one of Zoom's wonderful features for trying to get everybody into the pictures as well on my screen. All right.
Maybe just take down the
Oh
screen
yeah,
share
the
for a second.
screen. Yeah, okay, we'll do. Apologies, we'll do. All right. Okay, do we want, are we good, everybody got their cameras on? Everybody ready for their photos?
Yes.
Awesome, all right, let's start. Let's go ahead and take some pictures there. You got, oh, okay, wait. All right. So. I am Jill. And then right after this, I promise you, we will get into our AMA because we do have lots of wonderful questions from you guys. Okay. What do you think that's long enough there, Brendan? Jimmy? We're good? We're good? Okay.
Good.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for your photos. I mean, I know recordings and stuff, so I do appreciate that. All right, so everybody can still see my screen just fine? Perfect. All right. I just realized something here. Okay, perfect. So it is our AMA panel time. So I will give everybody a chance here for a moment to get there to scan up the QR code as well. And then we will go ahead and I will set up our lovely AMA display. Actually, no, I forgot we had tested this out. So give me one moment here. I am actually going to stop sharing. Give me a moment. You will get I promise you will get that back. I'm just setting up there we go. Movie theater. And then we have, okay. Oh, I might be missing somebody. I apologize if I am. And then I will share that as well. Oh, okay. Is that working as expected? Okay. Everybody can see the QR code still? Awesome.
Yep.
Great. Okay, and I believe we had one other individual as well for our panel, Brendan? Or are you,
Sorry?
is it, Brendan, did
It's
you?
supposed to be Susan. Susan's not
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were covering for Susan for this one. I wasn't sure.
No worries.
No worries. I'm just gonna go ahead and move you around here while you guys make yourselves comfortable. And all right, let's go ahead. You can go ahead and take over the show there, Brendan.
Okay. So we've got a number of questions in the AMA there. We can start with the most voted ones again. If you have additional questions throughout this, we'll try and get through as many as we can in sort of the next 20 minutes or so, or until we run out. So the first question we have, and do you have any arguments that we can use to our security department to be able to activate Atlassian Intelligence? I think this is a common thread there. So I don't know, Gasper?
Yes. Well, so far, what Atlassian has announced is the security rules that apply to everything that we have in the cloud applies as well to Atlassian Intelligence. So there is no sharing of information among cloud instances. Every cloud instance is protected, and the information within the cloud instance will remain in that cloud instance, and the information is secured there. So all the algorithms that make this possible will live within the instance and won't be shared with third parties.
All right. How well does the ticket summary take into consideration evolving information in the comments? So I guess this might get into the nitty gritty, but for the UI, is it looking at both the description and the comments?
Yes, yes, it uses the comments as well, and it you can click summary like every time you need to do it, and it generates the summary on the fly. So if you hit it and then there are a few more comments and you want to read them all, you can just hit summarize again, and it will give you a fresh version of the ticket. And yes, it will include every comment at the moment you click summary.
Excellent. All right. Is it supported in multiple languages? We are a bilingual nation, but there's lots of other languages out there as well.
It supports a few, however, right now it works better in English, honestly. I've been working with, customers and partners saying that they've made a few tests in other languages, and it doesn't work as well as it works in English. So I would encourage you to try to use it in English for the moment, but yes, it's supported in more languages, and we're working on improving it.
Okay. Any specific languages that you call out in addition to English, or?
I don't have a list available right now. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. All right, probably a question for both, or at least Jimmy and Gasper. What are you most excited about for Team 24? It's only less than a month away.
I mean, I'll say the community lounge. There's going to be a number of presentations that some of them I think are on the session schedule that are going to be happening there that are only going to be there. So there's going to be a certification success panel where there are going to be some people who've just earned their first certification talking about their journey to getting into it. There's going to be a creators panel and a meet and greet. There's going to be a community leader panel. And I know that Joanna Thurman, who's on the training team, is going to be doing a showcase of things she has sourced from the online community of interesting non-work related use cases for Jira and Confluence. So there's going to be some cool things like that that I'm looking forward to those.
In my case, since or my role is very biased to Jira Service Management. Yeah, maybe my excitement is towards that tool. We recently announced the acquisition of AirTrack, so I'm pretty sure there will be interesting news about how that will help us improve our IT service management offer, and maybe also there are going to be more announcements regarding artificial intelligence and the unified help tool we have been working on.
Excellent. All right. How do you update the underlying model after each ticket is updated with new content? It needs to be instant to be consistent and reflective. So
There's nothing people or admins have to do about it. You know, every generative AI function works at the very moment you ask it to do it. So it will always have the latest information available.
so once something is like a comment or something is updated, it sort of rejigs things. Nice.
Yes.
The Atlassian Trust Center indicates that OpenAI doesn't store any inputs or responses from Atlassian Intelligence. Do you have any more details? This might be somewhat related to the security.
Yes, I think so. I think it's very related, and it lives in the same instance. So yeah, nothing is stored and shared. Mhm.
Okay. Next question's from David. What happens if there is contradictory information on the clients? Does it weight the comment value and sort of decide which is correct? Like how often is that sort of? I mean, bad info. I guess you're somewhat limited on the input that's provided, but yeah.
Yeah, correct. I think it's still a work in progress because the tool doesn't have a way to validate if the information is correct or true, right? It will try and find whatever makes sense to answer the question that we're asking. But right now it doesn't have a way to see how reliable the information is. So that may be a limitation that we might work on in the future. But right now, as any AI engine, it generates information based on the data sets that it can access. And yeah, there are many examples in the news where these agents have made mistakes based on the information that they have access to. So yeah, we may want to be careful with the information we use to generate this tool, the information for this tool.
All right. Which Atlassian Intelligence feature do you use most frequently in your daily work?
That's a good question. We have internally have one feature that it's not available for everyone yet, that it's called AI Mate. I've not seen it in external sources yet, but that's the one I use the most right now, and I'm looking forward for it to be available to everyone else. But it's basically a button you can click, and you can answer questions to it, and it will go and search on your knowledge bases and bring you information about them. So I like that one a lot. I hope it may be available for everyone soon.
Does sound interesting. I
Mhm.
don't know. Jimmy, do you have Atlassian Intelligence on your instance? Do you have a
I will say that it's not something on our work one. Personally, I use it for title generation. I generally have an idea of the things I want, but when it comes to sort of titles for any of the posts I do, that's what I generally use it for, is giving me ideas of something based on a few topics of things.
no? And we do have it on our instance. I'm finding I use mostly the text rewriting just to sort of improve upon things and sort of get ideas in bullet points and turn it into actual like more meaningful work there, more meaningful text. All right. Do all the functions of AI happen on the fly? I think we sort of covered this. So when you click the button to find a description, does the AI store the result for later? It sounds like it was no.
No, the result is not stored. It generates it every time you hit the button.
Right. Okay. And another question along the lines of security. Atlassian Intelligence itself has not undergone external assessment for SOC 2 or ISO certification, and consequently, InfoSec is not allowing us to turn on this feature. Are those sort of certifications things that you can see Atlassian pursuing in the future, or is it more likely that I'm just going to keep it with sort of within the instance?
Good question. I don't have an answer for that one right now.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll ask that one at Team 24.
Yep, let's do that.
All right. Does Atlassian Intelligence respect the data residency of the instances?
Yes, it does.
Nice. And a good question that you may not be able to answer. What's next for Atlassian Intelligence? I expect we'll get some announcements at Team 24. Any kind of preview or sneak peek you can give us?
What I've seen, and we have shared this in multiple forums, so I think I can share this, is that it will expand to different sources outside Atlassian products. So that's an interesting one.
Exciting. All right, we got a few more questions left. What's our time? We've got a few more minutes. So, do you know if the AI search features will be able to circumvent the limitations of the Lucent search engine? For example, searching subscreens. That's from Jonathan.
Not that I am aware of at the moment.
Okay, so that's likely to remain featured there. Does the search feature work with IQL or AQL, assistance query assets? Sorry, assets query language.
Not at the moment, no. I think that's something that it's expected by many customers and partners out there, but it's not ready yet. And honestly, I've not even seen it on the roadmap.
Okay.
Yep.
So, from Jonathan, if there is contradictory information in the data set, can we train the model with the correct solution? I think might have covered that a little bit with the commenting. Okay. We'll assume that's been covered. How frequently does Atlassian update the data set that powers Atlassian Intelligence features?
Good question. I don't have an answer for that one. Sorry.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. I find it difficult to create AI JQL when referring to specific custom fields. Is there ongoing improvement in this area?
Yes, in general, we're improving the way it understands the queries. And yeah, I've heard this before that it works very well with out of the box fields, but it struggles with custom ones. I'm not sure when we'll have this improved, but I know we're working on it.
Yeah, I imagine that's a tricky one because basically the context of the custom field is rather subjective.
Mhm.
All right. We've got 4 questions left. By all means, we've got a little more time if you want to, if anybody's got anything lingering, either through the Slido or if there's anything in the chat anybody wants to call attention to, but I'll get through these next couple of questions. What is the origin of the data the LLM is trained on to be able to understand customer queries, and how can it keep the customer's data separate?
I don't have a lot of information on the specifics, but I know, for example, from what I've been using, that it brings a lot of data from Confluence or your knowledge base within Jira. That's like the main source of knowledge. How it can expand or improve, I don't have an answer right now.
Has anyone had any success with the EAP for AI on JSM Help Portal, the portal equivalent of the Slack agent?
No, not that I've heard of.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that that's a feature many customers are looking for, but yeah, we still don't have something concrete about it or any success stories.
Will the virtual agent be available for Teams? I assume they mean Microsoft Teams.
Yes, yes, it will. It's on the roadmap. It may be ready in the next few months.
Nice.
Mhm.
A lot of organizations are using Teams now.
Yep.
Is AI being used under the hood of data center installations to tell, for example, if something is wrong with the installation?
No, not at all. Not that I'm aware
AI
of.
doesn't touch data center.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. All right. And last question I have currently in the Slido. The EU has a new set of AI related laws. Does this AI, does Atlassian Intelligence comply with those laws?
I'm not sure at the moment. I know we're GDPR compliant, but I don't know about this new
That
set of
might be
rules. Yeah,
evolving situation.
and yeah, what happens is usually is that the country publishes the set of rules, and they give a timeline. Yeah, for companies to adapt to those new rules. So we may be working on that.
I'll add in chat what's in the trust center for GDPR stuff because it basically points to the privacy policy, the data processing addendum, and the GDPR commitment. I think that's probably your closest answer to anything at this point, right?
And Brendan, there is a question in the chat.
Okay. That's from David.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Missing the comments about contradictory data in comments contradictory. So many times we'll have tickets saying an issue is in revision B, but it ends up the problem is revision A, and revision B actually works and it's captured in comments. So comments still say one is bad, but then later on the claim is okay. The AI tends to latch on to the initial comment that it's bad and ignores the other one. I don't know. I mean, I know it does sound like it's a tricky problem to solve, but does, I guess, wrapping that up into something, will it take, is there any intention to take sort of immediacy into account, like newer comments would be treated as more correct?
I don't really understand right now the underlying process the engine follows, so I'm not sure, and I have not heard about anything on
Okay.
that sense. Mhm.
All right. Okay. I think that's everything that we have. All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you both for being good sports.
Oh,
Thanks for the answer. Yes. Thank you. You're welcome, David.
you are welcome. All right. So thank you guys for your time on this AMA. Thank you, Brendan, for taking care of it. And I will just figure out how to get out of this so that we can get on to the next slide. There we Right.
And we're in a bigger room.
No, we are in a bigger room, yes. Okay,
Okay.
here we go. And now, time for the quiz, the fun part.
Yes. So if you didn't sign up or join through the QR code earlier, I do recommend that you do now. I will just start actually, I'll share my screen here.
Okay.
So I've got the QR code on there as well.
Perfect.
Okay, you can see that okay. start the quiz, and you should be able to join. We'll give you a minute or so, and then we will get underway. We've got 14 questions. Most are sort of Canadian trivia with maybe a bit of a sci-fi theme to them, or science and technology theme to them, given the futuristic aspects of AI. We have a few questions seeded from the presentations or about the presentation material. So and the top, is it top 3, Heather? I'm trying to remember how many prizes we have to give away this time.
3 or 4, I believe.
Okay.
I believe it is 3 or 4. I will try to double check that right away.
All right. Well, we will have a leaderboard at the end. Again, partners, if you can just add that little DQ there, we'll know that sadly you're not eligible to win, but you'll still get the fabulous bragging rights. Yes.
Yep.
All right. We got almost 20 people on there. We'll give you just another minute or so. We'll get started right at 1:10 there. All right. Last chance. Okay, let's get rolling there. It looks like we've got everybody.
But
All right. Question 1. What is the definition of a neural network? The ability of a digital computer to perform tasks as people, algorithms that allow computers to recognize patterns, or algorithms that generate content based on existing data. You got 15 seconds to get your answers in. So the winners will be the most correct answers, and with the time taken to buzz in to be the tiebreaker there. So looks like the majority is correct. The correct answer is algorithms that allow computers to recognize patterns. Right. On the original 1960s TV series, Star Trek, how many of the principal cast were played by Canadians? 1, 2, 3, or 4? We're just talking about the regular cast members, not any special guest stars. 5 seconds. All right. And it looks like the majority was again correct. It was 2. Those 2 being William Shatner, who of course played Captain Kirk, and was from Montreal originally, I believe, and James Doohan, better known as Scotty. So the Scottish, the guy, but most known as a Scottish engineer in space, is Canadian. Next, which of the following sci-fi TV shows were filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia? The X-Files, Battlestar Galactica, the 2004 version, Fringe, or all of the above? Ten seconds to go. Never hurts to guess if you're not sure. All right, and looks like that might have been easy one for some people. It was in fact all of the above. Some of those shows moved around. X-Files moved to Vancouver or to California at one point, and Fringe was, I think, in Toronto before moving to Vancouver, but all of those were filmed here. We also have, last night I actually had to walk through the, they were prepping set work for the new Tron film, so sometimes you run into those sort of things. So. All right. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1876 after emigrating to Canada in 1870. Where was he originally born? London, Dublin, New York, or Edinburgh? Yes, so telephone, one of the initial technologies we developed for communicating around the world. Alexander Graham Bell did hail from Edinburgh, Scotland, before emigrating to Canada and doing his very important work on that particular invention. Next, in 1879, Canadians Matthew Evans and Henry Woodward sold a patent to Thomas Edison. What was that patent for? A motion picture camera, an electric light bulb, an alkaline storage battery, or a phonograph? And 10 seconds or so, 5 seconds. And yes, in fact, it was the electric light bulb. While Edison is often credited for inventing that, he more or less just tended to buy up and push out patents and whatnot. So the electric light bulb, they didn't have enough money to fund their research, so they sold it to him. What did Canadian inventor Joseph Armand Bombardier create in 1935? A rotary snowplow, a snowmobile, snowblower, or an icebreaker ship? All of these are in fact Canadian inventions, but there was only one that he invented in 1935. And it seems like most of you know that it is in fact the snowmobile. So good job on everyone. Most one. Canadian computer scientist James Gosling was credited as the creator of which programming language while working at Oracle in the early 1990s? C++, Java, Python, or PHP? Yeah. I know this is a bit of a tough one, but never hurts to guess. Got 5 seconds. And yes, most people got the right answer. It's Java. And a number of years later, a couple of Australians would take that programming language and produce a piece of software that's all very near and dear to our hearts here. All right, shifting back to some of our earlier things there. What are the virtual agent options in JSM? AI answers and intent flows, generative and neural networks, or self-service and change management? All right, and good, most of you are paying attention. It is indeed AI answers and intent flows. In 2009, Jim Balasiel, then CEO of BlackBerry, attempted to purchase which professional sports team with the intention to move them to Southern Ontario? the Montreal Expos, the Phoenix Coyotes, the St. Louis Rams, or the Seattle Sonics? Right. And it is the Phoenix Coyotes. Ultimately, he was unsuccessful, and while the Coyotes are still in Phoenix, the Atlanta Thrashers were eventually moved to Winnipeg to become the new Jets. To enable the AI virtual agent in a JSM cloud instance, the administrator only has to raise a support ticket. True or false? You got a 50-50 chance here. 10 seconds. Oh, fairly even. Answer's false. All right. Last three questions. What was the name of the first satellite that Canada launched into space? The Alouette 1, the Sapphire 1, the Nimiq 1, or the Anik 1? And most people correctly guessed it was the Alouette 1. All right. Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield went viral for covering which song during his tour aboard the International Space Station? Rocket Man, Life on Mars, Space Oddity, or Imagine? Majority is correct. Space Oddity by David Bowie. Well, the surface area of Canada is approximately 10 million square kilometers. This is equivalent to roughly how much of the surface area of the moon? 100%, 50%, 25%, or 10%? So it's a simple math question if you know how much the surface area of the moon is. Oh, and a lot of differing opinions. The correct answer, it's 25%. So the moon is a little shy of 40 million square kilometers, making Canada's surface area roughly a quarter of the entire surface of the moon. And the last question, how many in-person teams, previously known as summits events, has Atlassian held? 10, 13, 14, or 15? We had a few virtual team events during the pandemic there, but those, of course, don't count. And Susan, who unfortunately couldn't make it here today, she's been to probably more of them than any of the rest of your Canadian leaders by a wide margin. So, but the correct answer, 14 events total to date. So we now get to the moment of truth in terms of who got the correct answer. And Jimmy, you get the bragging rights, but unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get any of the prizes. So instead, we'll go with the other top four there. So we've got David C, Jonathan Back, Janelle and Villas. If you can reach out to your community leader or myself in the chat, give us an email address at which we can contact you. We will send you a prize, and congratulations to the winners there. So just either send a direct message to any of us. We just want to confirm that we've got that. So I've got Jonathan, got David. Unfortunately, no prizes for finishing 9th, but I hope you had an enjoyable time and learned picked up a piece or two of less useful information, but had fun more than anything. Okay, I've got Janelle, so I just need Villas. Sorry if I'm not getting that right. And I think that's everything else we have. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us. I got Villas, so we should be all good there. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Hope to see some of you at Team. And thanks again to Gasper for giving us a great presentation.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.